For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. In the footsteps of the dragon from Bulgarian tales and songs, Bulgarian folk tales, like those from many nations, are deeply rooted in the folklore, lifestyle, and history of the people inhabiting the territory of Bulgaria. Where did the storytellers of Bulgarian folklore get their inspiration for the images of the lamya and the zmei dragon? Were these mythical beings metaphors for social phenomena such as oppression and slavery, symbols of natural forces, or perhaps based on actual enormous creatures? The word dragon comes from the Greek draken, meaning great serpent. A dragon is typically described as a huge snake, like fire-breathing, winged creature. In Bulgarian folklore, the word zmei likely originates from the word snake. The terms lamya and hala also derive from Greek lamya wall, meaning devourer, and kalaza zavavar or kalazi zava, meaning hail. These are likely beings distinct from the zmei and are thought to symbolize natural disasters. In prehistoric times, mythological creatures were often used to explain natural events. Early humans, unable to grasp large-scale phenomena like storms or earthquakes, deified these occurrences or imagined them as colossal beasts. In global mythology, gods often personify natural elements, sun, wind, thunder, winter, etc. In many cases, these deities are depicted not as humans but as animals, which supports the idea that such mythical creatures were symbolic in nature. But if they were purely symbolic, why were they so consistently described as dragon or dinosaur, like across the world? It seems unlikely that people from vastly different cultures and continents could independently imagine such similar creatures. Dragons appear in the myths of Egyptians, Indians, Sumerians, Babylonians, Aztecs, Aboriginal Australians, Chinese, Japanese, Jews, Scandinavians, Greeks, Slavs, and many more. When a legend appears only in one place, it may be considered a product of imagination. But when the same motif repeats globally, it suggests there's a kernel of truth. Even today, many Asians believe in dragons. Chinese legends describe flying beings that lived there 5,000 years ago. Dragons are integral to Chinese mythology, regarded as guardians of magic and masters of the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water. They symbolize wisdom, nobility, and honor. In India, there's a story of the thousand-headed serpent, Shesha, who carries the god Vishnu on his back. Another hypothesis suggests these great mythical beings were actually technological constructs, flying machines or weapons, that could explain the fire-breathing aspect. If true, it's no less fascinating. Where did they come from? An advanced Earth civilization, or somewhere beyond, outer space? A further theory links these reptilian giants to extraterrestrial races that resembled lizards or dragons. Some conspiracy theories speak of reptilians, and several religious cults worship snake or dragon-like deities, often named Set. In the semi-mythical kingdom of Kush, people worshipped a winged serpent. Elsewhere it was the feathered serpent. The greatest deity of the ancient Maya, Kukulkan, was also serpentine. Egyptian, Chaldean, and Mesoamerican myths tell of dragons entering Earth through mysterious portals linking our world to others in the heavens. Ancient Chinese texts say dragons came from strange places beyond the celestial borders. In many legends, dragons are keepers of knowledge. The statue of the ancient Greek god Asclepius holding a cup with a serpent coiled around it also symbolizes this. These recurring motifs suggest continuity between civilizations, perhaps pointing to an alien race. Under this theory, dragon might refer to both the craft and the reptilian beings themselves. History is full of enigmas. How did ancient people acquire certain technologies? How were the pyramids built? Who created the Nazca lines? These mysteries hint at advanced ancient knowledge, possibly passed on by non-human intelligences. Returning to Bulgarian tales and songs, the zmei is often depicted as a guardian of mountains, caves, or springs. The lamya or hala typically represents natural disasters, stealing fruit or destroying crops. Heroes emerge to fight these mighty creatures. Saint George, famed for slaying the dragon, is revered in Bulgaria. Similar dragon slayers include Saint Theodore Tyron, Saint Marina, Saint Michael the Warrior, Saint Joachim of Ossogovo, and the Archangel Michael, leader of the heavenly host. A dragon-slaying scene is also depicted on the famous Madara Rider monument. In many tales, the zmei abducts young maidens, often demanding them at regular intervals. Why virgins? This could symbolize subjugation. But why does the abductor live in the mountains? If he were just a ruler, he'd dwell in a palace. If a foreigner, then in a distant land. The mountain suggests someone close to the heavens, a god or extraterrestrial. Living in a cave implies a demonic being or treasure guardian. In the stories, the maiden is sometimes devoured. This may have served to warn girls against wandering alone. Yet the true motive often hints at marriage and procreation. In Asian mythology, there are even stories of dragons marrying humans. Perhaps it symbolized a political alliance or merging with a powerful force, another kingdom or race. Bulgarian tales are not unified in their meaning. The zmei Ognian fire dragon in Bulgarian stories and zmei Gorynik in Russian are associated with fire, possibly symbolizing lightning, the sun, or a volcanic eruption. His high dwelling and wings may imply a celestial origin. The motif of the zmei guarding springs comes from folk belief in mountainous clouds and storms, associated with dragons who control water and dwell in lakes or wells. Perhaps people saw dragon shapes in the clouds. Why does the zmei always point skyward or toward a mysterious passage? Scholars often dismiss fairy tales and legends as mere fantasy, craving only evidence and hard data. Yet we must remember that before writing, oral storytelling was the primary way knowledge was preserved. Storytellers were the scholars and historians of their time. Could people have invented dragons after seeing dinosaur bones? Possibly. Maybe some dinosaurs survived into early human times. But if dragons were imagined based on fossils, how did people know what they looked like from the outside? Even today, science struggles with this. Yet descriptions of dragons around the world are strikingly similar, as if they were witnessed firsthand. So why have we found dinosaur bones, but no dragon bones? Especially if dragons lived more recently. Perhaps not all remains fossilized. If every animal's bones were preserved, the earth would be overflowing with skeletons. Or maybe dragon remains were destroyed, perhaps even burned. As we search for the truth, each hypothesis seems to lead into another. All signs point to dragons being real. The question is, where did they come from and where did they go? If dragons were mistaken for flying machines, why were they described as scaly? Perhaps their shimmering metal looked like scales. Enormous, winged, tailed, fire-breathing. Knowledgeable, abductors of maidens. These clues fit together. Whether they were reptilian aliens or something else, the evidence points skyward. Perhaps two types existed, those who flew and those who crawled from portals. Bulgaria was no exception. Tales abound of maidens taken by dragons, sometimes even falling in love with them. As unbelievable as it may seem, the idea that dragons once roamed the earth is supported by stories told across time, cultures, and continents. 8 sirens, sea nymphs, and goddesses from different legends and cultures. Melusine. In an old French tale, Melusine is a mermaid who marries a mortal man to gain a soul. Though first written between 1387 and 1393, the story had been passed down orally long before that. Over time, the legend evolved. In one of the most famous versions, Melusine promises to marry a knight if he swears never to look at her on Saturdays. They wed and have children, but one Saturday the knight breaks his promise and sees Melusine bathing, revealing her mermaid tail. Later, he falsely accuses her of causing their son's death, and in her grief and rage, Melusine transforms into a dragon. In later versions of the tale, she is saved by converting to Christianity. Atargatis, the myth of Atargatis, is among the oldest, dating back to around 1000 BCE. She was an Assyrian goddess of water, fertility, and life, worshipped at a temple near a lake. After accidentally killing her mortal lover, Atargatis, ashamed, tries to hide in the lake, but the lake could not fully conceal her beauty. So she transformed the lower half of her body into a fish, allowing her to live in the water forever. Undines, Undine is a sea nymph. She was immortal until she bore a child with a mortal man. As she began to age, her lover grew distant. When she caught him with another woman, she killed him. The name Undine has since become a symbol for all sea nymphs who fall in love with mortals and bear them children. Iemanjá. Iemanjá is an African Brazilian goddess. African people who migrated to Brazil brought their worship of her to the New World, a tradition still honored today. She is considered the mother of the world and is both a mother figure and a symbol of sexuality. In mythology, she marries her brother and is later raped by their son Orungan. Often depicted as a giant fish or mermaid, Yemanja represents both creation and sensuality. Sedna is the Inuit goddess of the sea and earth, one of the most important deities in Inuit culture. She would bring sea animals to the surface for hunters and hide them when needed to protect them. In one version of her story, Sedna unknowingly marries a bird disguised as a man who promises her riches. After realizing she's been deceived, her father tries to rescue her by boat, but the bird flaps its wings so violently it causes a storm. In a panic, her father throws Sedna overboard. When she clings to the boat, he cuts off her fingers, each one turning into sea creatures like whales and seals. Sedna becomes the mother of all sea beings. Alamuki is a mythical dragon, woman from Hawaiian mythology who lived by the Wailua River. The Hawaiians believed in beings called kupwas, creatures with both human and animal forms. The greatest among them were dragons, and volcanic eruptions were seen as signs of a new dragon god's birth. The most important of these was Mo'oinania, who brought all other dragon gods to Hawaii. Alamuki, her descendant, guarded the Wailua River and was known to kill those who wandered there. Ceto is a Greek sea goddess, daughter of Gaia and Pontus. She symbolized the perils of the ocean. With her brother Phorcys, she birthed many sea monsters, including the Gorgons. Most famously Medusa, who was turned mortal. Lorelei, on the banks of the Rhine River near St. Goarshausen, Germany, lie the Lorelei Rocks, named after a legendary maiden. According to legend, Lorelei leapt into the river upon discovering her lover's betrayal. She transformed into a siren who lured sailors to their doom with her beauty. For centuries, locals have attributed mysterious sounds in the area to Lorelei's mournful cries.